Good evening and welcome to Open Minds podcast, Waking the Dead Ghost Stories. Tonight, I have two stories to share with you. Part one of the two stories is Child's Play 6 Feet Under, and part two is the Asheville Double Decker Ghost. So settle down, sit back, listen attentively. Tonight, I have Faye Vale with me, who's come in to co-host. Good evening, Faye.
Hi, Gloria. Hi, listeners.
What did you say?
Hi, listeners.
Oh, hi, listeners. Yeah. So, Faye, I'm going to read out the two cases tonight. Hold on, I'm just getting message now to one of the cases I'm going to read out. You can tell this is live. Christine is my first case, and she's going to come into the chat. Just wait for Christine to come into the chat. Is the Child's Play 6 Feet Under. Now, when this is a very short ghost story, Faye.
Okay.
When I read it in the email, oh my Lord, I couldn't stop laughing. I did get permission off Christine, can I laugh? But it's really, really scary. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to wait for Christine to get in the chat. Well, I will. I'll wait another minute or so. Hopefully she'll get into the chat and she can hear a ghost story. But next week, Faye, I have you on the show, do I not?
You certainly do. Telling my own ghost story.
Oh, and it's really super duper. And it's actually uncanny. And so what we're going to do next week when I advertise the podcast, Faye will be sending over to me some photographs. I'm not going to give the story away. I'm not doing a spoiler. So you'll be able to see the photographs before the show goes live on Saturday night at 8 p.m. So next week is Faye Vale. I'm looking forward to that one. Well, it looks like Christine's having issues getting in, so I am going to start the podcast. Here we go, Faye. Child's Play 6 Feet Under. I'm going to set the scene. Christine is 15 years old, and it's the night of Halloween. Do you want to do the eerie music, Faye? Oh, I love it. I love it. So Christine, a young 15-year-old girl, way back in the day in 1974. Oh, Christine's in the live chat. Hi, Christine. She was with all her friends, as you do, and they were bored. So where does one go when you're bored on Halloween night? Obviously, to a graveyard. I lived in a graveyard when I was a child. Do you know what? Near death experience, trust me, it didn't happen to me. You're here. I know you're here, Christine. Here we go. Me and my friends were bored. So we decided to go play in the graveyard, as you do, on the night of Halloween. We'd been playing around for more than an hour, but I'm sure there was other things going on in the graveyard at that age. I know there was back in my day. What about you, Faye?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So they were playing for about an hour, and somehow Christine lost her friends, as you do. Dark at night, Halloween night, you lose your friends in the middle of a graveyard.
Scary.
She started to walk. Then all of a sudden, the floor disappeared beneath her. Yes, you guessed it. She fell into a newly dug, open grave. Pitch black in the middle of a graveyard on Halloween night. She was screaming. This is 6 feet under, guys. She was screaming and screaming for her friends. Nobody was coming. However, Christine did get the attention of something else. All of a sudden, her calls were answered. Around her were all these dead people, ghosts, with their hands reaching out to get her.
Oh.
My God, at that point, Faye, I would have died.
Well, I think a few swear words would have come out, and
I think more than that. I mean, Tourette's doesn't come into it. So poor Christine, she's a young girl of 15 in a dark graveyard, falls into a freshly dug open grave for the next day's burial, by the way. And she's screaming and screaming for her friends, and no one comes but the dead. And all the arms are coming out. I could say on a lighter side, maybe they was trying to pull her out, who knows? But Christine says, no, let me continue with this wonderful story. Eventually, her friends come to rescue her. She was so petrified. I mean, let's just say she was scared shitless. We all would be. Then she says in an email, oh my God, I never went near a graveyard until my boyfriend wanted to go and see his dad's grave. She said, I froze. I couldn't get out of the car. She couldn't get out of the car. It was that traumatic for her. And even to this day, it takes a long time for me to visit a graveyard. Now, come on, Faye. Can you visualize that happening in the pitch black in a graveyard?
Absolutely terrifying. I used to make my way home through a graveyard late at night, and it is pitch black. And there's always an owl somewhere,
Yeah.
which just adds to it. But I'd have run like hell, but you got to get out first.
You've got to get out. She's 6 feet under. She couldn't get out. I've got to say, maybe all the arms coming out from everywhere, the dead people, the ghosts, maybe they were trying to help. But obviously when you're 15 and you're in that sort of environment and the context of it, it must have been the most terrifying, seriously, laughter aside, it must have been the most terrifying experience ever to go through.
Well,
to go into an open grave.
Imagine if it started raining and the soil started coming in.
Oh my God, no. I mean, that's worse than a vampire movie. But it's like, I've got to stand up for spirit, though. I mean, Christine's a medium, so I've got to stand up for spirit. That I reckon they were coming out trying to help you, or know. But at 15 years old, in pitch black, 6 feet underground in a grave for somebody else, and never mind stepping into it, the floor disappears beneath you. That must have been one of the most horrific experiences anyone could ever have. So Christine, thank you for your email. Thank you for sharing. I mean, my God, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That is one of the scariest things I've heard. Have you heard anything scarier than that so far?
No. Not really. No. Not to fall into a grave, of all things.
Yeah, I mean, a poltergeist wouldn't be more scary than that, would it? I mean, an open grave, come on, And
it's like, well, that,
eh?
It's not only that, what you're stepping onto at the bottom.
Well, but it was the fact that all the dead people come out, all these arms and hands were coming out to her as she was screaming for help.
I think they were helping.
I think they were helping.
The spirits were helping, because most spirits in a graveyard are loving family members or previous family members.
Well, Christine, Christine went, oh my God, like this. Well, Christine, me and Faye believe that these ghosts that came to you, even though their arms were stretched out and you thought they were all coming to get you, I think they were all trying to help you. Thank you so much. For me, it was short, but I can't even imagine what you went through, sweetie. So thank you so much for sharing your ghost story. Now, moving on. The next ghost story, Faye, is the Asheville double-decker ghost. Now, this is humorous as well. This one is from Kalina Angel. Now, Kalina is a friend of mine, and she was going to come onto the show, but obviously life things happen, and she couldn't make it and gave me permission to read this out. So I'm going to set the scene, okay?
Okay.
In the first half of her 20s, she was broke, an on and off college student living in the breathtaking mountainous town of Asheville, North Carolina. In the span of a little over 1 year, she found herself divorced from a 5-year marriage that she'd been in since 19 and a failed brief engagement. So it was time to reconnect myself and find out what adult life really meant. And considering I'd been in relationships right outside of high school, I spent a lot of my downtime just pondering. I used to roam antique artistic streets of Asheville when it was much smaller, talking and walking around in nature, but always coming back to one of my favorite places to write poetry, a journal, and introspection as deeply as I could. I'm setting this serenic, calm, little old town scene for everybody. As I was rather financially unstable at the time, when I could scrounge up enough money to buy a coffee there, I truly felt like the richest person in the world, just sitting in this place. She was poor, no money, she'd scrounged some money up, just to be in this, very uplifting and positive space. Now, you know where this is going, don't you, Faye? Because I'm building you up here, am I not? I'm building you up. Right, here we go. Oh, I've lost it. Oh, shit. I was just getting carried away there. Right. I was getting carried away. I was going off on the story myself, imagining it. Right. I truly felt like the richest person in the world. I loved the unique decor and the fact that they repurposed this bus. There was a bus there. They brought in this bus, okay, and it had beautiful decor. It had everything in it, okay.
Right.
And I would sometimes sit outside in the garden area and gaze at the big red sights. So now we're getting there. I'm sorry I got a bit lost there because I got carried away. She's got a big, looks like a big red London bus. And we all know London buses are all haunted. You just need to know that. If you've ever been on an old school London bus, there's dead people on there. Right. So she sat in the garden area to gaze at this big red sight. For we didn't have double-decker buses in North Carolina in the early 2000s. I smile at it. This is her smiling at the bus. I smile at it and imagine what it was like to live in the United Kingdom and riding up top. That's definitely where I want to sit up top, looking down like a cat in the window as the city and the bustling people below. So she's got all this dream, yeah? She's got all this dream and imagination building up to go on top of this double-decker bus, which is now being used as part of the coffee shop brought over from Europe.
Right.
On one particular day, waning into the evening, you can tell she's a poet by the linguistics she used, I joyfully walked into the double-decker, right up to the barista, smiling at the lack of the line I had to waiting. So on the bus, they'd put a barista in, you could get your coffee, you could get your drinks. Beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want to go in that, Faye? Me and you would.
Amazing, yeah.
I'd be in that easy.
Yeah, me too.
As I began to give the barista my order, I felt the strong presence of a person come up behind me very suddenly and very close behind my head. Are you ready? Then a blow, a puff of cold hair hit me at the back of my neck and my hair. I felt shocked. I turned around to confront this invasive unknown. You know what you're like, who the fuck do you think you're doing, yeah? But to my astonishment, I saw no one there. But then I felt and heard within my inner knowing a presence of a laughing young man right up in my face. Kind of, I got you. Now, before we go on, what would you do, Faye, under them circumstances? What would you do?
Well, the first thing I would have done was turn around the same as she did, but not seeing anyone there. Of course, it gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? But
would you have got
off the bus? Investigate.
Oh, you wouldn't have got off the bus, because I wouldn't have got off the bus. But
no,
I'm sure...
no, definitely not, because it would have sparked my interest straight up, and I'd have thought, oh, what's that? I need to know.
Yeah. I'm sure some people
spoke to the spirit person. And
yeah, well, yeah, and you're jumping ahead here because things are about to happen. But I wouldn't have left, but I'm sure some people would. Okay, so this made her very excited. She felt the energy that this young ghost was just having a laugh, having a banter. In my excitement, I couldn't help but to whip back round and face the barista and ask him, do you know if there's any ghosts on this bus? Obviously, that's what we do, don't we? We just blurt it out to, you know, customer service.
Yeah.
You know,
I always ask.
I actually forgot how weird I might have seemed asking that. But instead, the barista froze, frowned, and even apologized.
Wow.
If I'd experienced anything unpleasant, he told me that all kinds of pranks were happening on the bus recently, so he apologized to her. He was fully aware they had a prankster ghost on the bus. And he says, all types of pranks were happening on the bus recently. Things were being knocked over, things were being taken and misplaced, water turning on or off, and such things are quite commonly known in this area on this bus. Now, what are the chances? I tell you what, guys, in America, you get a London bus over there, you're asking for it. That's all I can say.
Certainly are.
Anyway, she did what you would do, and what I would do as well. So she started speaking to this person. As he was speaking, I got a flood of information from this disincarnated man in my mind's eye. There flashed a picture of a young, long-haired man in his 20s who just wanted to say hello and connect. As the barista continued on about his concerns, I told the barista that the ghost was friendly, that he was a young man when he died. I mean, as you do, you know, have a coffee, please. Yeah, don't worry. He's a young man. You know, he's happy. He's fine. He meant well and just wanted to say hello and spend some time here. The barrister still seemed spooked. I'm surprised the barrister didn't get off the bus. I mean, I've had an experience when I've said to someone, yeah, don't worry, that's just the dead walking through, and they legged it from my property. I never saw them again. I mean, how come she can say it and they don't leg it? Do you know?
I think sometimes without knowing you're aware of spirit, you are, and it's a test, isn't it? Either your curiosity gets the best of you, and you want to speak to it.
Yeah, and I think also what Kalina's done, but with the barrister, she's opened him up a bit more to know not all ghost stories are bad and negative, okay? They're not all bad and negative. Anyway, she continued with the spirit, and actually it was a very nice person who just happened to be without a body. What can I say? It reminds me of the old Vincent Price film with the hands coming. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
All he wanted to do was hang about with people and have fun. But I realized that maybe something deeper was going on, because the barista told me about some college where college students had committed suicide and experienced hauntings, which he believed led to the death of one of his friends. the barista's friend. I couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps this experience was happening to help him realize that not everything paranormal meant it would indicate a negative experience. I expressed my condolences to the barista and reassured him that nothing of harm would pass from this discarnated person here, that he was harmless, although a bit of a prankster. As I'm writing this, the email, I am now wondering if I had not connected some dots. Could this have been the past friend of the young barista, also in his 20s at the time? What if all he wanted was to let him know he was okay? Who knows? But as short as this story is, I want to share that not all, and in fact most ghost experiences are harmless. Sometimes human spirits may be earthbound for a while, often unaware or in denial of their death, or visiting loved ones and friends to help the living move forward. Excellent. Note, the double-decker bus went through many owners, and she sent me the current info and pictures. I haven't uploaded them. I've been so busy. But Faye, what do you think about that ghost story?
I think it is typical of quite a few that you hear, really, isn't it? Because when you see ghost things on the TV or in the cinema, it's always scary, but it's not always like that. And many come back. Many spirits will come back to help or to give information. And I believe that from listening to the story, that this young man came back to lift that man's fear, and help him, like you said, get over the bereavement, and make him move forward a bit and not don't look at the scary movie, look at the nice story.
I'm with you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, another aspect that comes out of that one for me is, you get like the let's call him the coffee guy, because we call them the coffee guy. He said things had been moving, taps turning on, things had been misplaced. Many would misconstrue that as it's bad, it's negative, it's a poltergeist. And I've said this many times. Please stop calling spirits poltergeists. It's not always the case, because in this case it was a young boy who had died, was trying to get his friend's attention on the London bus. So there's a learning in that as well, is there not?
The thing is, a ghost will keep doing that to get your attention. I always say to people, it's like if you go in a big nightclub and somebody's ordering you a drink and there's all these people in front, and you're trying to tell them, okay, I'll have a gin and tonic, and they can't hear you. You just keep doing it, and it's like that. And the ghost is there, and he's going, I'm trying to reach to you, and you're not listening, and you can't hear me. And he'll keep doing something to attract their attention. It's the same when somebody waves at somebody. It's because they want to attract attention. It's not always bad.
It's not always bad, and this is why with the podcast, this is why it's I'm trying to bring a lighter approach to ghost stories and paranormal events. For though we're programmed and told either by our religious peers or TV, everything's all scary, and it's not. And there's nothing to be scared of with spirit. And I'm going to add to that. You are on next week with the amazing, absolutely uncanny, out of this world. It is. But there is another one, and I want to add it tonight. The other one, and I'm going to pull it out of my email folder because I've just got to tell this as well. Because I thought I don't want it not to be included. So next week, Faye will be with us, and it will be case number 4, the uncanny presence of Faye Compton. However, Faye had another little story, and I'm looking through my emails here, and I'm going to pull it out, Faye, and put you on the spot. And you are going to, I love doing shit like that. You know what I'm like.
I know.
And I have the email here. And I've named this email Ghost Story. Happy birthday, darling.
Okay, I'm telling that now, am I?
You are going to, I always like to put you on the spot. But I've got to do an intro. I've got to set the story. This is Faye talking. My husband died at a very young age, but never left us. After he passed, I constantly felt his presence all around the house. I could feel him standing behind me, and then feel a hand on my shoulder. I would cut roses from my garden and take them to his grave on a Sunday morning. Over to you, Faye. Then one Sunday, I got go.
Well, one Sunday morning, it had been so busy that it got past dinner time, and I always took roses because they were his favourite flowers, and our garden was full of them. And it got to get pretty late towards lunchtime. And I said to the boys, because I had 2 children by him, 2 sons, I said, we won't have much time to go to the cemetery today because it's getting too late. Well, at that time, I had kitchen utensils on a rack on the wall. I'd no sooner said it than the scissors started swinging.
Oh.
And they were just swinging away like a clock pendulum, and they never slowed down. They just went at the same pace, and they went and they went and they went.
God.
And I just stood staring at them, thinking, how's that happening? But anyway, in the end, I had to put my hand on them to stop them. So that was a spooky thing. My youngest son saw his father sitting on the bed one morning. He's shouting, "Mum, where are you?" And I said, "I'm downstairs doing some washing. Who's sitting on my bed then?" We had several things happen, lots and lots of things. And a while after he died, it was about 3 years after I met somebody else and I got married again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a successful marriage, and no need to go into it all, but it wasn't a happy marriage. And this particular day, it was my birthday. And as normal, I didn't get a birthday card off my husband, my second husband. And I was really upset. So I went upstairs and went in the bedroom, and I was crying.
Yeah.
And as I walked in the room, the bedroom cupboard opened on its own. And this card fluttered out the cupboard and landed at my feet.
What was it?
I picked it up, opened it up, and it was the very last card that my first husband sent to me. And it said,
"Wow.
Happy birthday, darling."
Oh my God. Now, come on. You couldn't make this shit up.
Do you know, I didn't even know that card was in that cupboard. Wow. If you'd have asked me, have you got an old card? I'd have said, well, I have somewhere, but I don't know where it is. And you couldn't make it up.
No, you couldn't. I mean, the fact it was your birthday, your current husband at the time had forgot your birthday, and you would go to your bedroom crying because it's your birthday and no one's remembered you.
That's
right. And the cupboard door opens.
Yeah.
And the birthday, last one he ever sent you, drops at your feet. Yeah. Wow.
I know.
That's beautiful.
I felt his presence all the time, though. We had so many things happen. And my second husband wouldn't stay in the house on his own because he always felt somebody was watching him.
You know, it's really weird. From other stories that I've heard, especially in relationships, And we spoke last week that sometimes ghosts attach, not negatively, or the house itself. And you got to imagine that you know you had a really loving relationship with your first
Yeah,
husband,
yeah.
loved each other dearly. Then unfortunately you married a wrong un.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure the presence of the first husband, the ghost, would have made sure that the second husband wouldn't be alone in the house.
Well, I mean, I can add to that story, and I never added it on my email because I didn't think about it till after. But the second husband, he
Yeah,
used to sing and play the guitar, right? So
yeah,
his guitar was always in the bedroom because the kids weren't allowed to touch it.
yeah.
And one day we was downstairs, and this horrendous noise came from the bedroom. Went up, and his guitar had been hurled from one side of the room to the other,
Oh my
and then
God.
and it broke the neck on his guitar.
Oh my God.
I
Now, come on,
forgot about
guys, listening to this. This is not a poltergeist. This is a
that. No,
loving ghost.
he was just angry with the way he was treating me and the boys.
Wow.
Yeah, I
What
forgot
did
about
what
that.
did what did he do when he saw his guitar smashed
God,
in the
he
bedroom?
scared him, but he went mad. But it scared the hell out of him. I
You know,
was I was laughing afterwards when he weren't there because I thought, well done.
but again, is another example of ghost stories. I mean, they're not what you think they are. They're not,
No,
apart from Christine falling 6 feet under in a newly dug grave for someone's funeral. Yeah,
God,
I can
that's
get that one.
horrendous.
That is horrendous. I just can't even imagine it. But
No,
again, you're seeing a spirit in the house, a haunting. So it is a haunting, is it not? It's a haunting, but it's a protection.
yeah,
It's a protection. And I've said it before, I mentioned before, it reminds me of I went to do some clearing in a house for somebody, and this person, for those that didn't hear this before, she hadn't slept on her own in 2 or 3 years in her bed because there was a presence she knew watching her, and she was too scared. Cut a long story short, when I went in, I found the gentleman that was watching her. Um, Over her bed. It was Mr. Braces. I called him because I see them physically,
yeah, me
everything,
too.
and and he was watching over her and protecting her from from the two in the attic, the young ones in the loft, and I think there were, I don't know, four down in the outer shed that were not very nice. So he was protecting her,
Yeah,
and after I did what I needed to do in the home and explained everything, she slept alone in her bed ever since. That's a couple of years down the line now, because she knows, it's not going to harm her. And she actually says now, "Hello, Mr. Braces." And she told me the other month that she was sitting in her front room and she sensed him being there. She was looking at the TV, and she said he was watching the TV. So again, I'm saying it's not always what you think it is it, Faye?
no, I mean, I can tell you the most hilarious story about a ghost when if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go.
Well, after like I said, my first husband died. Um, I got a job as a cleaner at night at this place with all offices in on the
Hmm.
top floor. So basically, I'd have to hoover this great big long corridor full of desks on each side
Yeah.
and just empty the bins and polish the desks. Well, nobody would go up there on their own because they said it was haunted. But because I've done a lot of paranormal stuff, it didn't scare me. So I'd go up, and like it was a great big long corridor. There must have been
Hmm.
10 offices on each side. So you're talking 20 offices, no doors on them, they're just little spaces.
Yeah.
So I'd be hoovering, I'd get halfway down and my hoover would go off. Go back, the plug would be pulled out. So I'd plug it in, get halfway down again, all the lights would go off. I'd have to go back, switch the lights off. This used to happen all the while, and I used to say, come on, stop messing about.
Yes.
But anyway, nobody, there was only me who'd work up there because the hoover would get the plug pulled and the lights would go off. And this particular night, we had a young girl come, and the woman who was in charge said, oh, you can go upstairs and help Faye, not telling her about the ghost.
Yeah.
So this young girl, she was about 17, 18, doing it for a bit of spare cash. And nothing happened. We cleaned all the offices, we hoovered, but down one side where most of the women sat, there was plants on the windowsill. So most of them had a plant on the windowsill, as women do when they're at work.
Yeah.
So we're just going to switch the light off. And one of the plants went plop on the floor, and they all followed.
Oh my God!
And this girl just screamed and ran, and she ran out the building, and we never saw her again. And I was furious, and I'm going, look, I don't mind you switching the lights off and pulling the plugs, but now I've got to go and clean all that up. But it was just a ghost that wanted to have fun with you, wanted to play.
But again, that could be misconstrued as a poltergeist, could it not, or a demon?
Oh, yeah, because I mean, one night there was a guy walking towards me, and I know there was nobody in there, and I can tell you what he looked like now. He had a black suit on, white shirt, black tie, quite a chubby guy, and he was walking towards me, and then he just disappeared from the bottom up. So I actually asked about him, and he worked there, and he died in that place of a heart attack, and I swear it was him doing it.
I mean, you just reminded me. I've got so many bloody ghost stories. Unbelievable.
I know, I'm the same.
this one was not long ago. Actually, it was about 4 years ago or something like that. 4 or 5 years. Say 4, and and I was getting a bus to go somewhere because I was working with working around children, and I had to get a bus to this awkward place. And I got on the bus, and I remember it distinctly. And I mean, I hadn't seen a physical dead body for a couple of weeks, put it that way. It was all quiet. Nothing going on. So, and remember, I'm the sort of person, even to this day, well, obviously still in this story, I can't tell if they're real or not. So, I sat on by the aisle in my seat, and out of nowhere, it seemed, but I thought he must have got on when I wasn't looking. This old guy, started walking up, and he sat in the seat in front of me, but to the window, so there was a space. No, he didn't. Sorry, he sat in the seat in front of me, right in front of me, and I looked at him. He was an old guy. He was a bit withered. I mean, he looked really, really old. Right. And at this point, I'm getting attracted to him, and it didn't register because I turn my mediumship off when I'm working or I've got cases to do. And I'm looking at him, and then it goes to the next bus stop. We're coming up to the next bus stop. Then all of a sudden, he stands up and sits in the seat next to the window. And I thought, why are you doing that? And then I see this little old lady walk on the bus. As she's walking up the aisle, I've registered he's dead. And then I'm thinking, please God, no, I don't want them all coming on the bus. This is so not fair. Honest, this is what I'm thinking. He got up to give her seat. She sat down in front of me. And then through communication, it was his wife. And he used to get on the bus to meet his wife on the last ride home,
Oh,
and he
bless her.
still gets on the bus to meet his wife to
Yeah.
go home with her. I thought that was beautiful. I thought it was like, and I remember getting off the bus going, I'm not doing this shit when I'm working. But I couldn't tell the difference. And
I've been the
eventually
same.
it clicked. I want to say that Christine, who is 6 feet under child's play, has just said at 14, she was 14, 15, I didn't know what spirits were then in them days. So she had no idea. When we say it, we said to Christine that we're trying to help you, but she's quite right, Faye. At that age, 14, 15, you
That's
don't know
right.
what spirits are, do you? You just see these
No.
ghosts. I mean, they're not even physical, and all these arms are coming out as you're 6 feet down in a newly dug grave. So
It'd be
yes, Christine.
interesting to ask Christine how she feels about spirit now.
Well, Christine, you've got to answer in the live chat. How do you feel about spirit now? I've got Christine in my development group. She is an awesome psychic medium, I'm telling you.
Wow.
And I've got her on my cold case workshop. She's doing good. She liked the last ghost story. She said, how sweet. I thought that was sweet with the old man. I thought that
Yeah.
was really sweet. So again, I'm trying to show that not all ghost stories, many people portray them as dark and all that. It's not. I mean, this was and your husband, your ex-husband, um, what I've got from Christine, she says, I'm okay with them now. She says, I'm okay with them now. I mean, but what can I say, Christine? There's only one more time you'll be going 6 feet under. Knowing Christine, are you going to get cremated now? Are you're not getting buried, Christine? Answer the question, bless you. I don't think I played always in the graveyard as a child, and I remember years ago connecting with an old schoolmate, and I said, what was I like as a child? Because I can't remember anything I did. And she said, oh, you scared us. You just scared us shitless. I said, why? You were talking to dead people and you were saying, can you see them? Can you see them? Can you see them? And they couldn't see them because I had no idea that everyone else couldn't do what I could do. So, yeah, I did scare a few people, young girls. I was always in the graveyard. I had no fear at all. None. But Christine's okay now with going to graveyard. I said, are you going to be cremated or buried? And Christine says, yes. What, both? Christine, which one? Are you going to be cremated or buried? She's going to reply. So, I mean, the experiences, when I was younger, when you're a teenager, a young child, they are scary, yes. Because, she's going to be cremated, she said. Don't blame. She's certainly not going 6 feet under. I wonder if she's made that decision because of that experience.
More than likely.
There are many people that won't be cremated because they've had experiences traumatic with fire.
Yeah,
It makes you think, does it not? It makes you think. I wonder if this.
My first husband, I had him buried. But the only reason I had him buried is because I was so much in love with him. I couldn't bear the thought of having him burnt.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. But that love showed in your ghost story. That love showed. I mean,
yeah, it was shared.
I mean, you also didn't you have knocking on the doors in that ghost story as well? Look, there was knocking on the doors and
it goes on and on, that ghost story. In the end, we left the house to escape from it because it became too overwhelming.
Do you think when you say it became too overwhelming? So we know your husband was there. Do you think it opened up a portal for other spirits to come through because your ex-husband had, and then it was the humans in the house, the alive people, were noticing it? Do you think more came in?
Maybe, but I mean, the knocking on the door was a warning that his wife was going to die, the next guy who took the house.
Oh, do share that one. Do share that story.
Well, the house that we was in we moved to a council house because the house we was in got demolished, so they put us in a council house. And the house we went in, the family before us, their son got killed on a motorbike. He was only 18.
In that house?
Yeah, they lived in that house. And how long were we there? About 4 years. My husband got cancer and died. So when the spirit activity, although I loved him and I wanted him around, it wasn't healthy all the while for the kids. I needed to break away and start a new life, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I exchanged houses with this guy and this woman who had 2 young sons like me. So I moved in their council house, they moved in mine.
Yeah.
Well, I used to see them at school, taking the kids to school, and I'd say to them, "Am I getting on in the house?" And they'd say, "We've not slept upstairs yet because it just feels like it don't belong to us."
Oh, God.
So they never slept upstairs for 3 months. They decorated the whole house all the way through to try and make it more of their own. And when they did sleep upstairs, for 3 consecutive nights, there was somebody knocking on their bedroom door at 1 o'clock in the morning. When it first happened, I thought it was when the kids got up, but there was no one there. And this happened for 3 nights. This was after they'd been there about a year. After that happened, his wife, who was only in her late 30s, she suddenly died. She just dropped it. So that was the boy 18, my husband, her. 2 weeks after she died, her mother dropped dead in the street.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so it was 4 people, 4 deaths in that house, as I know too, all in the same house.
I'm hearing this a lot, and we've had this recently, and I've questioned it, with the first series of whoever moves in the house next. There's either murder, marriages break up, but in this case, so you've got 3 families.
I believe when he heard the knock on the bedroom door, it was my husband still there, warning him that something was going to happen. I've always thought that.
I'm with you, but I'm looking at, okay, and I've asked this before, so I've got to sort of be the devil's advocate here, haven't I? Is it the house or is it the person? So, you think it's your husband was trying to warn them. But in some cases, you could think, well, it's the house.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I do think there is, I mean, when you do paranormal work, you can go in a house and you're not comfy. It's the same if you buy a house, whether you can live in it or you think, I couldn't live here.
Yeah.
Because the house has its own energy, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's so many cases now of repeated families going in, trauma happening, or just being scared shitless and having to leave, and the next one the same and the same and the same. I mean, it could be. I mean, when I've gone into houses to inform people they need to move along. They need to move along to wherever they need to go. Some do stay, like Mr. Braces. Some do stay, but a lot of the paranormal activity is because they want to get attention, or 2, they
the jokesters.
Oh God, the jokesters. I've had that. Oh my God. Oh, I've even, I'm just thinking, when I first moved into this bungalow, and so I moved in a year and a half ago, nearly 2 years ago, and I moved in. Anyway, I don't know what was going on. It was in the early months, and I was sitting on the other side of the front room, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know, I must have switched on accidentally because I had been trying to turn it off. And all of a sudden I saw this gentleman stood in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
And obviously I went, okay. And I thought, okay, he needs to cross over. He needs to cross over. You know, he can't be hanging around in my house for, you know. And I said, okay, I said, you need to cross over. You need to move along. You know, I said, can you see anything, any light or anybody? You know, I was chatting to him. And I said, look over there, you know, there's a light over there for you to go, because I just didn't want the spirit in my house. This was a really cheeky bugger, I'm telling you. And he turned round and he was so, he had attitude like, you think I'm going? I'm not going till I get the information I want. Yeah. That was the attitude. And I said, why don't you just go? You can go now. Yeah. You've died.
Yeah.
And he said to me, where's my wife? And then it registered. This bungalow was vacant because this lovely lady, her husband had died, and she had legged it to the family. Yeah, she's gone up north somewhere, Lancashire or somewhere like that. And I said to him, oh, you're him. You know, I got that. And he said, where's my wife? He's looking for his wife. He's been there. So he was the one hanging around doing the things in the bungalow, looking for his wife. And I said, you sure you don't want to go to this light? You know, this is me. He's having none of it. Where's my wife? I mean, I've never told the long story of this. This is the long story. And then I regretted it as soon as I said it. I said, she's gone to Durder. I think it was somewhere in Yorkshire. Yorkshire, that was it. She's gone to Yorkshire to stay with her family. And boom, he went, boom, out of my house, all the way to... Now, that was one of my unusual ghost stories.
Yeah.
I'd had paranormal in the bungalow, as you do when you move in, you do your saging. There was nothing negative here at all. And but I had some bits going on, and I was aware, and I thought, it's just spirit, it's fine. Until the day he appeared, and he wasn't going anywhere till I told him where his wife had gone. I didn't have a choice. He didn't want to go in no light, he wanted his wife. And it reminds me of the old guy and the old woman on the bus. I thought that was so romantic.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's so much love. I've got another jokester one. A good few years ago, when I was in my other house with the small children, and I was doing working and at university at the same time. And I love music. A lot of paranormal in that house, mind you. I did have circles in there and everything. So would you?
Yeah.
And I like certain types of music, but obviously this spirit didn't. And my kids witnessed this. So I had the mouse, you know, not a USB mouse, just a connected mouse. And so I turned my music up. I liked it full blast when I was studying. Yeah. So I'm doing my study for uni. And then up on my screen, Faye, I see the volume slowly go down, and I'm not touching the mouse. And I'm going, what? So I push it back up, and then it goes down.
Yeah.
So then I don't know which one of my youngest children, I think both of them in the room, but one I called over. I said, look at this. I held my hand on this mouse and was trying to force the volume up, and they were forcing the volume down.
Yeah.
They would, the things they did in the middle of the night, the doorbell would go. No one at the door. In the beginning, I used to get up and I said, no, fuck it, I ain't doing this. I'd get up every morning, and you know I'm an artist, and the whole house was covered up the stairs, everywhere with my artwork. It was also back in the day. And I'd get up in the morning, every canvas had been to an exact degree, each one moved. And I go, would you stop doing it? And I'd have to go all the way back. So the jokesters I'm so used to. I mean, we could go on forever with these ghost stories. Tonight's ghost stories, though, I mean, Charles plays 6 feet under Christine.
Wow.
She just says, still today, I do freeze when I'm going to a graveyard. Well, I don't want you coming to my funeral, Christine, okay? Because you ain't going to be much good, are you? All about you, isn't it? That was an experience. I've never heard nothing like that before.
Oh
That
no,
is out
so
of a horror
scary.
movie. And then we had, Happy Birthday, Darling, one of your ghost stories.
Yeah,
I thought that was really, really beautiful and very romantic. I
yeah.
mean, next week is going to be, next week, we're not going to do a spoiler. Faye's going to send me some photographs and it will go out in the advertisement. And wait till you hear this. I'm sure me and Faye will pick up some more stories we haven't even shared. But for anyone listening, have you experienced anything like Faye? Or please tell me if you've fallen in an open grave. Anything going on in the graveyard. Please tell me if there's anyone else, or is our Christine a unique poor thing at such a young age? And if you do have a ghost story or a paranormal experience, please email us at openmindspodcast@outlook.com. How have you enjoyed, Faye, hosting? I mean, it's been a light-hearted evening, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, why not? Eh? We've had enough of the downcast stuff. We need a bit of fun.
We need a bit of fun, and I think we sort of, we brought to the table for any skeptic out there. These experiences are real. Things can't physically move by themselves, that's for sure.
And
Um,
I think the thing you've got to say is Christine's story about falling in the grave was quite harrowing, but
yeah,
she's actually pursuing the supernatural now and feeling comfortable with it. So
well, I
that just
could I
touches
could I
something else.
yeah, I agree, but could I say, Christine, that was your initiation into mediumship? What a way to be.
Not the
You know,
best.
she, she is. She's in my class. She is awesome. She just goes for it. There's your initiation. You had to fall. We all come in one way or another. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's you had to fall in. I can't even visualize that.
No, I can't.
Even when I've gone to funerals, and where the grave before they put the
Oh, I
grave in.
hate it. Hate
Christine's
it.
laughing her head off now. I won't even go near the open hole.
No,
You know,
you feel like it draws you in, don't you? I
you
do.
do. I
I think
mean,
so.
yeah, Christine, you're supposed to keep away from newly dug graves. Okay,
Don't go near
you're
any
not.
potholes.
You're not supposed to fall into them. I can't even imagine in the dark that happening. That
Oh no,
hasn't left me.
that's
I haven't. I tell you what. So far, that's the best, really harrowing ghost story I've heard. Um, and that's your initiation, Christine. That's now why you're such an amazing medium.
I would have
um,
needed clean underwear when I got home.
I don't know what would have happened to me. I did have I have had the experience in the graveyard. I might share it next week, but it was nothing like yours. I am so telling you, Christine, nothing like yours. Oh, thank you, Maxine. She's going to watch again. Maxine missed it from the front. Thank you, Faye, for co-hosting with me this evening and sharing one of your ghost stories. And I look forward to having you on next week to tell your ghost story in full. And that will be the uncanny presence of Faye Compton. And the word is uncanny. You are not going to believe this. It is eerie. It is uncanny. You can be a debunker. You can be a skeptic. You can be whatever you want. When you see the photographic evidence and you hear this, you can say coincidence once. You can say coincidence twice, but you're certainly not going to say it after that. It is that uncanny. And that's Open Minds Podcast, Waking the Dead Ghost Stories next week. Thank you, Faye. Thank you for joining. Stay behind. We'll have a chat. And thank you everyone for watching. If you have a ghost story, as I said, or paranormal experience, if you want to come on the show, or if you just want me to read it out and share it with everybody, Open Minds Podcast at outlook.com. I'm Gloria, and this is Waking the Dead Ghost Stories. Bye for now.
Bye.